Welcome to Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. As we continue working our way through the COVID-19 situation, we're going to bring you special episodes, as we've already said. And this is another one of our How We're Working Together episodes with several of your colleagues from around the state. And we're going to take just a minute here to meet them and then to hear a little bit about what this working virtually situation is like for them. So I'm going to start out with Anna Drossi-Glowinski. Hi, Anna. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Kara.
How are you today?
Oh, doing okay.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role is at the college?
Yeah, so I work on the Indianapolis campus. I'm the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Success. And in addition to retention initiatives, I work directly with the Offices of Student Life, IVARES, and New Student Orientation and Student Counseling.
Excellent. Well, we're very happy to have you here. And next up is Charity Bowling. Hi, Charity.
Hi, Kara. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Charity Bowling. I'm the program chair of the respiratory therapy program here in the Indianapolis area. And we are getting hard with this COVID-19 as respiratory therapists are right there on the front line of the care that's being done right now. So this is quite the challenge for us.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking time to be here, Charity. We're glad to have you. Next up is Kim Fernandez. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm not bad.
Good. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I support Chancellor McCurdy up in Kokomo. So I'm at home. I think I'm busier at home than what I am at work. And it's just, I think just getting everybody set up and acclimated to using the different technology, because I do have some technology challenged people on cabinet. So helping them jump through those hoops and getting forms and stuff sent out and signed up and all of that has been kind of a challenge this week.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that topic a little bit more around technology skills we're all learning. And next up is Joe Hallowell. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Kara. I'm Joe Hallowell. I am at the Columbus campus. I am a full-time professor in English, and I typically teach English 111 and English 215 courses.
Very good. Well, it's great to have you all here, and I'm going to dive into some questions for you. And just like we talked about just before we started recording this episode, just jump in and we'll have a great conversation. And I'm going to say, I forgot this when we were recording the last one of these. We are recording by Zoom because we can't be in the same room together. And some of us can't even leave our houses right now. So we just want to make sure that everybody understands we're doing the best we can with the sound quality, but it may not be our usual level of excellence that we just try to strive for, but we'll do the best we can. So I'm going to actually start out with what Kim alluded to. We are all learning new stuff. Julie Lorton-Rowland, who's our Senior VP for Human Resources last week, said this is the best professional development none of us ever asked for. So I would love to know, what have you learned as a result of this situation? Or what are you helping others learn as a result of this situation?
I've helped a couple of them. Yesterday, talking with some of the other chancellor's assistants, we all decided that we needed a chat room on Teams. So there's like 18 of us that we can telephone each other, have a live video chat, ask questions, help each other out. And then I have a couple other of local gals that I chit chat with. And so I've helped them with Google Documents, how to set it up, how to share, those types of things. And then how to set up a Zoom meeting with a password so we don't have any of those Zoom bombs. So
that is what we've all been learning today, how to do.
Yeah. So I had actually my IT specialist, Jean Heflin, walk me through how to do a Zoom with a password. And so it's just kind of handy being able to face-to-face time with some of these issues with technology and helping others work through their issues as well.
Excellent. Who else?
I've been familiar with several of the technologies that we're using a lot more frequently than we have in the past, specifically Zoom and Teams. But I'm becoming more familiar and more comfortable with them now as a result of having to use them. And through this process, though, I'm actually enjoying using them, and I'm trying to challenge myself and to do more with them now. I have that comfort level with my colleagues, but now I'm expanding that and to that comfort level with my students more.
Anna?
I find it really interesting. I think we always talk about how technology makes us better and more efficient. We want to use this more, but almost every day I talk with my colleagues and we're like, I'm working 10 times harder than I do when I'm on campus. And we're on this technology all day long here virtually. And it's been an interesting mental shift into what productivity looks like and how we're working and communicating. And it's a little exhausting using this technology all day long.
It is.
This is Charity. I have to agree with Anna. I think I have a new appreciation for IT. I've always appreciated them, but I spent the last 2 days trying to get connected with VPN so I could access some files, and that was new for me. And then just trying to balance the full-time faculty that I have and my adjuncts and trying to get them up to speed with Zoom and teaching and some challenges trying to teach via Zoom. That's been interesting for the classroom.
Absolutely. So we each have different family situations, different home situations. Not only are we working virtually, those that we surround ourselves with are working virtually as well. How are you settling in and adapting to that situation?
This is Charity. One thing that I had to do is I went ahead and I contacted my coworkers and I said, I miss you. I'm used to seeing you 5 days a week. We've got to schedule a weekly meeting at least to kind of touch base because I feel like we're alienated right now. So just trying to get used to that. I don't have the challenges of having young children or anything at home. It's just my dog. So I don't have that kind of challenge, but just my coworkers are my family and just missing them and missing the students. I miss seeing their faces and talking to them about personal things. And I think, getting on Zoom, you really don't want to have that discussion with everybody present. And so just making that adjustment has been hard for me.
Charity, I really miss the energy that we get when we're on campus, the energy of seeing the students and seeing our coworkers. I do miss that a lot. My situation at home, though, it's just me here at the house, and I have a dog, a pet, and he's definitely getting used to me being at home, and so it's going to be quite a shock to him when I do go back. And he's getting a lot more treats to try to keep him quiet when I'm having my meetings.
The dogs are thrilled. The cats are not so sure, I think, is how this is working so far.
Yes.
This is Anna. I have 4 small children who are home with me right now. I will say I'm fortunate, especially compared to a lot of my colleagues, in that I normally have a stay-at-home spouse that does the parenting day to day. So we didn't have a childcare rush, and I'm not always balancing a kid on my lap during meetings, but it does happen. And as Karen and I were discussing before, I'm currently set up in my daughter's bedroom for my remote office. And it's just real life, but I think it brings a level of compassion for my coworkers who are literally balancing, a 3-year-old and a full-time workload. And, sometimes it's fun to see a kid on the camera in the middle of a check-in meeting or a one-on-one meeting. And I think it brings a little more personality to our work. We see pictures of our colleagues' kids and things like that, but to see them and to wave at them and say hi here and there is fun as well. It's been interesting for my family, trying to balance. I think Indianapolis Public Schools is calling it like learning at home. So it's not quite e-learning, but how do we keep it normal and have a routine and still get work done and have family time? And it's a balancing process for sure for us over here.
Well, it's me and my spouse, and he's working from home because he's considered high risk, being over 60 and diabetic. But he works at the GM plant here in Kokomo, so they're gearing up, ramping up to make ventilators at the plant. So he's been on conference calls a lot with that. So he's downstairs in his area. I'm upstairs in my study/craft room. So what you see behind me is my craft desk.
That's what you see behind me as well as all my craft crap.
Yeah.
What this has made me realize is it's a mess back there. And I thought it was really pretty organized and it needs to be cleaned up. So that'll be a task at some point if I'm ever not working as hard, because I completely resonate with the conversation that I feel like I'm working harder than I ever have, even though I'm not leaving my house. So when you think about just the situation around COVID-19 and what it's done to our lives, we're isolated from each other physically. And because we are all working probably harder than we've ever worked before, it's hard to move and it's hard to get exercise. So what are you doing to keep yourselves, your mental and your physical and your emotional health? What are you doing for yourselves, or what What tips would you like to share with our audience?
I'm blessed. I live south of Kokomo, just north of Sharpsville. I live out in the country. I live 650 feet off the road. I have a woods. Like right now, I'm sitting out looking out my woods. I can take a walk outside and not have to worry about social distancing. So we can go for walks. I can get some fresh air. So I have a great situation. So I'm blessed.
Good.
And I have a treadmill.
And I'm the same way. I live just a few steps from the entrance of Muscatatuck County Park in Jennings County. And so I definitely take advantage of that. Take walks. I take a walk with my dog and then take walks by myself. I'm getting in more walks, which is great. On campus, my office is actually upstairs. So I miss going up and down those steps. That was kind of my exercise on campus a lot. So I'm forcing myself now to get out and make sure I get more walks in.
Good.
One thing that we're doing, this is Anna, is at the lunchtime every day doing like a family walk for about an hour. So we live in the city, but it is fun to see that there's lots of like sidewalk chalk art and people putting pictures in their windows, trying to encourage their neighbors. And people are very friendly right now. I found, there's a lot of social distancing and I've appreciated that, but just, friendly neighbors, people waving and smiling. And so it's nice to get out of the house every day and take that mental break in the middle of the day.
Yeah, this is Charity. And I have a nice backyard, fenced in backyard, and get out there with my dog. And then I have a neighbor that we've been kind of cooking, and I share food with her and help her out a little bit. And so just kind of, my neighborhood's quiet, getting out a little bit when the sun's up and enjoying it while we've got it. So definitely a different climate, though, in the neighborhood where there's usually wonderful kids running around their bikes and screaming. Very quiet, very surreal to walk out there and not see anybody. And that's different. But trying to get out and just exercise just a little bit.
So as we think about how this has changed us as an institution and organization and as people, I think this is a situation we will all look back on for a long time about how our lives changed as a result of it. What of those changes do you think we should continue after we're able to return to work on a normal basis? And of course, we don't know when that's going to be, but what have you seen that you're like, I need to continue that?
One thing I've been thinking a lot about through this process is something that Dr. Elsperman, I've heard her say quite often, that Ivy Tech is known as for being nimble and flexible. And I think we've definitely shown that through this process. I've been so impressed with how quickly we've been able to make the transition. I'm sure it's not perfect in all areas, but I bet it's pretty close to perfect. And that should make us very proud as an institution. I think maybe some of the four-year institutions were not able to make that transition as easily as we were. I think part of that is because we've always been encouraged to be innovative and to try technology, to use technology, and to do these things for the benefit of our students. So I think we will be changed as we move forward, but I think we're going to be changed in a really good and positive way.
I like because I used to be an SSP before I became the chancellor's assistant. So working from the student side, I like the fact that we've tried reaching out and getting more free access to books instead of having students being, having to, because sometimes that is a big deterrent for students being able to finish a semester is they can't afford the books. They don't have enough financial aid, or they can't get financial aid for whatever reason, and they've got these books to buy. So I like seeing the other access to different types of materials to use in the classroom.
I've appreciated how connected groups are. I know there's a lot of check-in calls every day, and some people have joked that they're check-in to out. But I appreciate working with the leadership team that I work alongside, having more of an ongoing daily conversation on Teams, doing a quick 30-minute daily check-in. I feel in some ways a little more connected to the day-to-day work that we're all doing in conjunction with each other, because we can't be in a silo. When we're working remotely, we really have to be connected with what everyone else is doing.
This is Charity, and I agree with Anna. The check-ins have been much appreciated. I think our health science division actually has been closer because we have been sharing more information, which I appreciate. But I also had to step back, and I tend to think out of the box. Sometimes when I have to laugh at my coworkers, they'll say, please stop thinking because I'm always thinking about how can we do things differently or better. I wish sometimes my brain would shut off. But one of the things I think I realized is there are ways to do our classes besides face-to-face. We've gotten so used to doing face-to-face classes, and it's like maybe this is the time for us to step back and saying, what classes can we do differently or offer differently for our students in our respiratory program than just face-to-face, which might provide more flexibility for someone that has to work and has children. Is there a way to look at that differently? So even though it was hurried, and because of all the things that we've had to do, I think we've pulled it off pretty well as a college as a whole for what we've had to accomplish. And kudos to everyone.
Absolutely. I couldn't be more proud of our college. It's incredible what we've done in such a short amount of time. So what are you hearing from students? I know Joe and Charity, you've been back with students. Kim, I'm guessing you're probably feeling some calls from some that the chancellor might want. And I know that's your day in and day out job. So what are you hearing from them? How are they doing?
Actually, I haven't heard from any students because I think that we've really taken a proactive approach. Teresa Murphy's awesome at her job.
Yeah.
So they've actually developed the list and they've got people calling.
Good.
I did reach out. My great niece just lives next door. And so I reached out to her on Facebook and asked her if she needed anything and just say, hey, feel free to reach out anytime. So that's basically really the only student I've heard from.
Good. That's great news.
I guess I was pretty fortunate in the classes that I was scheduled to teach and that I am teaching were already planned to be online the second 8 weeks. And so my students, I think, were prepared for that online environment anyway going into it. However, thinking, before the classes actually started and I started thinking, okay, that may be true, but they're working in an environment that's probably different than they anticipated when they signed up for the courses. So I tried to make sure that I maybe implemented some things that were more student friendly than maybe I've done in the past. I've always been a stickler on deadlines. And so I knew that was one area that I think definitely need to be more flexible with this semester. So I automatically just gave a 2-hour grace period on all deadlines for the semester. And then I also told students I would absolutely work with them throughout the semester as things come up for them.
Very good.
One of the things, our students have been overwhelmed and anxious to find out what the future holds, especially our senior class. They are concerned about graduation, and we've assured them that we are, shooting or getting them to that finish line. But it's not just the graduation piece. It's also the uncertainty of how it's going to affect them taking their boards and getting employment with the government shutdown and getting their license to practice. So there's a lot of uncertainties, and we have had at least, I would say, 5 or 6 hospitals everywhere from Illinois, Ohio, recruiting our students, besides the Indiana hospitals. And so they had already started securing positions. And so this pushes everything back. And just the fear that the testing centers right now are closed, not knowing when they're going to open up. So it affects their future. And so it's keeping them calm and focused on studying for their boards. The freshman class, they're really down in the dumps. And so last night when I was teaching them, I was trying to get them to smile and talk a little bit. And I always leave it at the end. Let's talk. What can we talk about? What's bothering you? Being in the field of respiratory as long as I have, this is new to them. The pandemic is new for me. I've seen lots of things, but to have a pandemic, that's different. And so just getting them to focus on what they need to do to go to the next step, the next semester. And so letting them just talk openly and freely, voice their anger, their frustrations. And some of them actually, are still concerned about work, bills, their children. So it's a whole cluster of things that they're experiencing right now. So their mental health is, I would say, for both, all the close 60 students that I have in my cohorted program are it's very sad right now. So I hope that changes in the next few weeks.
Me too.
I know, I think there's a variety of emotions like Charity mentioned. we had a lot of fun things canceled for our students. Students were planning trips. There's a lot of spring travel for students, and like all of that was kind of immediately canceled, both from Dr. Ellspermann's decisions and then just conferences being canceled, additional travel restrictions. So that's disappointing. Just, that the students plan something for a really long time, or they've looked forward to it for multiple years, and then all of a sudden it's canceled, and then they're going to be graduating, and you see that being gone. I have been very impressed. I'm always very impressed with our faculty, but their willingness to find virtual engagements for students, whether that's workshops or professional developments. And we're always willing to facilitate those. And I've seen tons of creativity. I know like our Phi Theta Kappa International Conference is now a virtual engagement opportunity for students. So somebody mentioned how quickly we were able to kind of roll this all out. And I think that's happening in multiple areas of higher education. I think piggybacking off of what Charity mentioned, working with Ivy Cares, we're seeing a lot more, we call it intakes of students, everything from mental health needs to rent concerns, financial concerns, lack of access to appropriate technology. So just doing the best we can to meet those needs of students. And sometimes the student needs very quick answers, and we just can't always provide a very quick answer. And so that can be frustrating, I think, as an administrator, to work through the process and know that the student is in a panic mode. Students don't learn very well in panic mode. So it's kind of our team's job to assure students and walk alongside them and advocate for them at the same time.
I've seen something that I don't know that I've ever seen before, 2 or 3 stories so far of student popping into office hours with one faculty member and asking a question about another faculty member's class. And I know what most of us would always do in that situation is, well, talk to that faculty member. And in this situation, I've seen 3 different faculty members said, I'll reach out to your other faculty member and I'll talk to them for you. And I think that's just the empathy that we're all feeling right now, that this is, you were trying to go to college and then you lost your job, and it's just so much right now. So it's crazy, a crazy situation. I usually try to, when we're in a live recording session, which a couple of you have been in with me before, I usually try to set this last thing up and then we'll take questions, but I'll just ask openly today. Is there anything else you want to share with your colleagues as we wrap up the conversation today, or just with the world about this situation?
I just want to tell you that my coworkers that work in the hospitals, from nursing to physicians to the respiratory therapists that are managing the ventilators to the food service, to anyone in the community that's out there working, they are working their tails off to do the best job possible. And it is one of the fastest viruses I've ever seen grow. And there's a lot of things that we're seeing on the news that's real, but then there's a lot of it out there that is a lot of uncertainty. I can tell you that, there is a need, like the ventilators and things like that, just how rapidly things change. But just to keep everybody in mind, everybody's doing the best job they can. No one wants to see anybody get sick, and stay home, wash your hands, wash your hands. We can't say that enough anymore. So.
Right. Well, that is an excellent point to close on. So with that, I will wrap up, as we do every episode, with a call to action, and that is to check in on your coworkers and check in on one another, your friends, family, relatives, make sure everybody's doing okay. And as Charity said, for all of our healthcare workers that are out there working the front lines and our rescue workers, stay home, because that's what we all have to do right now to do our part to fight this. So I want to thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Our College, Your Voices. I especially want to thank the members of our panel today, Kim Fernandez, Joe Hallowell, Anna Drossi-Glowinski, and Charity Bowling. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. It was a great chat. I'm your host, Kira Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. Don't forget, you can leave us a voicemail. So if you want your voice heard about how things are going in the COVID-19 situation, this is a great way to do it. 317-572-5049. And we can use those recordings in upcoming episodes. Again, that's 317-572-5049. Don't forget that you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. That's actually how Kim and Anna and Joe and Charity got immediately selected for this episode, because they were first to sign up. I put that link in there. And so you can come join us. There's a great conversation going on in that community. Just open up Teams and then go to the join a team button. It's usually either bottom left or top right, and search for Our College, and the podcast listener community will come up. You just have to click on it to join it. Our website is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance is provided by Becky Campbell and Sarah Ferguson, and our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Our theme music and our post-production services provided by the amazing Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, who I miss seeing in person so very much. And we will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.